Hi, if anybody's out there, I'm a couple minutes early. I just wanted to go live so people could find us. So I'm not going to really get started until 10 o'clock, which is 10 o'clock Alaska time. I'm in Alaska in a small unincorporated community on the Kenai River called Cooper Landing.
Started.
I don't know. Maybe I'm not doing this right. I could try a different way. You want me to finish this one?
Yeah, well, I'm not seeing anything. I don't know that anybody, and I'm on the page, so something didn't
Log
just
off
pop
and log
up.
back on, maybe. Okay, I'm going to try a different way.
Oh, and I'll keep going.
Oh.
There you go. I see you.
Yay!
I'm the only one, though, so far.
So I have one viewer.
Yeah, no, it's working.
Yay!
The picture.
And then I see a little eyeball up at the top that says 2.
There you go. Now we got a second person.
Hi. And
then I see a little. I gotta keep this out.
Back to 1. Well, I'm going to wait until we have more than just the one, because just the one is my husband.
We could actually just have a conversation. You hear me? Oh, there you got a couple.
Okay. Well, it is 10 o'clock, and nobody is going to get to see me because of the setup. I've got my phone on a tripod, and it's locked into my iPad, and this is me. This is who's hosting, and I'll show you. I have a co-host today. My husband, Vince, he's co-hosting. He's going to follow along because I'm not going to be able to see my camera, my phone at all. So I can't follow any questions or anything like that. You can post your questions, and my husband will read them to me, and hopefully we can make this work.
For the record, I don't look that old in person.
Okay, so this is decorating sugar cookies using an iPad and Procreate, and I have a 15-inch iPad Pro, and that's what I use. So I'll just get started. I'm going to work on showing you how I created this set, and that's where I'm going to start. So to get started, some of this is just basics, and then hopefully it gets a lot of you up to speed, and then maybe as we progress, I'll have a few more helpful hints for those of you that are way past this. I am not a Procreate professional by any means, and a lot of this is come over the last couple of years of just trying to use this. So the first place we start is up here in the corner to create a new canvas. And for my cookies, like, let's see if I can just show you one really quick. All right, maybe they're, sorry, where'd my little stack go? I think it's in this stack. So, like, I did this one to send to a client so that they could see what we were, it was a way to share my vision of what they were looking for. And let's see if I can show you that end product of that really quick. I thought I moved a picture of it in here. If I didn't. Well, I thought I moved a picture in here. Oh, there it is. So there's the end product of that. And that way, it's helpful for me to communicate what I envision to clients. All right. So the first place we kind of got to start with again is just a new canvas. So I'm going to get out of this stack. And when I'm going to be working with a client, I like to use an 8.5 by 11 canvas because it's pretty standardized. And when I print it, it just fits on a 8.5 sheet of paper. I don't have to mess with sizing and all of that kind of stuff. And so with this canvas then, the first thing I do is I come up to my little tool bar up here in the left, and I always turn on my drawing guide because that's really helpful for me. And then I also edit it a little bit because these little squares, I want them to be representative of 1 inch because I want to be able to design my cookie in the same size as my cookie cutter. So I have it on this 2D grid down here, and I'm going to work with this grid size here. And you can do this and then sit here and kind of count the squares. But I already know that I set up my canvas to be 8.5 by 11. So I can just tap on this size here and I can move it to inches. And I can make it 1 inch squares. And that's all I want, and done. Well, let's say inches, and I want 1. I don't know where I should have hit that, done. Let's try this. Oh, I see what I did. See what I did? I do this all the time, and my work disappears on me, and then I have to sit here and kind of stare at my screen and go, where did my grid go? Well, I hit this done up here, but I didn't hit it very accurately. And do you see that line across the top there, that little rainbow line? I also hit it up on white, so now my grid lines went white. So I just have to grab that little dot and slide it back down, and you can see here my grid is going to whatever color I put it at. And I usually like it a little bit on the dark side. And I've changed my grid, so I'm going to go back to inches, and I just want 1 inch grids, and it gave it back to me. Now I'll say done. And because I already know that my canvas was 8.5 by 11, here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then a little bit on each side that would equal a half. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 2 halves is 11. So it gives me a nice visual way to break my piece of paper up into whatever size I like. So now I'll say done with this because I have my grid on there. And depending on how you're working and what shapes you're working with, you can always take your canvas and twist it so that you can have it any, vertical or horizontal or however you want to work with this. One of the other key things to know about working in Procreate is up here in the upper right hand corner. Well, you have let's just look at this whole top bar. Over here is the gallery, and this is where we come in and out of whatever design you're working at. And I'm working on this piece of untitled work right here. And it automatically saves all your work for you, which is really nice, especially if your iPad dies or you do something or walk away and forget about it. It saves your work as it goes, so that's nice. This is a toolbar that lets us add files, photos, which we'll use this a lot. This is really super handy. And these copy canvases or copy layers and stuff is really good when, as you're moving forward and you've already started with an idea, or you want to incorporate another idea into a work, you can copy and paste things. The canvas allows us to resize our canvas, and this is where I got that drawing guide, and I turned on the edit drawing guide, and we're going to come back and visit this a few times because there's some more good things in here I want to share with you. Depending on what kind of projector you're going to use to get the image down on your cookie, if your projector projects backwards, you can flip this whole screen so that when you do project it, it actually projects forward so you can see it instead of backwards. Not all projectors use that. These are adjustments. We'll use this, particularly the Gaussian blur right here a lot. This is a selection tool that helps us select different sections. We're going to use that a lot. And this is the item selection. We're going to use that a lot. We'll see that. And then over here, it comes with all kinds of different brushes. And I created a favorite group, and these are some of the brushes that I use a lot, and we'll kind of go back and forth in using these. They do have, for those of you that do airbrush, there's airbrushing in here, and I actually use this one a lot anyways, but this will mimic your airbrushing, so that'll help you with those designs as well, and shading, and just the different things you want to see, and the different things you can do. This little guide does blurring and blending. It's handy. Here's the eraser. And then here's our layers. And this is where I was headed. The layers are really important because you don't want to do all your work on this same layer. It locks everything into one place, and you can't do befores and afters and make different choices. So every time we go to do something, we're going to work on a different layer, and you'll see that we'll have a lot of layers here. So the first thing that I do when I want to design these cookies is, if I didn't exactly design the actual cookie or cookie cutter, then you've got to go out to the internet. Let me get out of this. And you have to buy your cookie cutters. Be sure you bought your cookie cutters. And I go out to the internet, and like these cookies came from, I don't know for sure how to say this word, but Calladia cuts, that's what I call it. And I've purchased these cookie cutters. And here's those cookie cutters right here that I purchased last winter. And you can just open up the image for this. And sometimes some of these, images come where you can kind of double tap on it and they let you just download it. But if they don't just simply download, you can always just do a screenshot and capture that image. And then we can just get out of that and come back into our Procreate and back into our...
I had one question. I don't know if you already answered it. I just noticed that it came up. Vicky asked, how did you add the grid lines? I don't know if you already answered that.
Oh, I added the grid lines by coming up here to this wrench, the little wrench, and I just turn on this drawing guide off and on like that. That's how you get the grid lines. And then I went into edit drawing guides, and I used that grid size to set it to 1 inch.
She says she got it.
Okay, great.
Now I'm actually seeing the comments.
Let me get this back darker here. And you can also, I'll just point out here, the grid lines right now, I have the opacity down at 36. And if you really wanted to see them stronger through your work, you can change the opacity of them. So I use them a lot up front for sizing and that kind of stuff. But as time passes, I use the grid lines less and less, and you can just turn them off too. So see, I changed it back. I don't know why I do that all the time, but I do. I do that with the eraser too. Golly. If I keep doing it, we're never going to get past this part. Okay, so I got my image. So I'm going to come back up here to this tool, and I am going to add a photo. I'm going to insert a photo. And here's the photo that I got. And this you'll see, if we open up my layers, now that photo is in my first layer. And I don't need all of this, so I'm going to do a selection. Whoops. I'm going to do a selection here, the S, and I'm going to do a freehand. Actually, I'm going to do a rectangle, and I'm just going to set my pencil down, and I'm not going to do a color fill. I'm just going to do this selection, and actually, 2 finger tap is a step back, and I'm going to step back 2 times because I want to make that a little tighter rectangle. I can just capture more of what I want and not some excess stuff. So I'm going to capture that, and then I'm going to say copy and paste. And it looks like nothing much happened, but if we come back up here to the layers, I've got a new layer here. So I can turn off this old layer, and now I can see my copy and paste that I've selected. And I like that. And I don't need, I'm going to turn that off for a second and turn this one back on. With those little boxes, you can turn these different layers off and on so you can see them. And I can't work with this one right now because I've got the other new selection highlighted in blue. And if I want to work with this one, I have to be on it highlighted in blue to work on this section. But I don't need all of this stuff, and I managed to capture what I wanted to. So just to save, because the more layers you get, the more complicated it gets a little bit. So I'm just going to get rid of this one because I don't need that anymore. So I swiped to the left and that delete popped up. See, I can still do that here, but I don't want to delete this one. And you can duplicate it, or you can lock it to avoid any changes from happening. But for right now, I'm just going to come back to this section and turn it on, and there it is. And now I can work with this image here. And I typically don't always like to work with all the images all at once, because I do like to have the different layers and the ability to select one thing at a time. So I am going to just go back to my selection tool. I'm going to use that little rectangle again, and I'm just going to cut out. Now that one was a little too small, so I'll go back. And I'm going to cut this one and do copy and paste. And then I'm going to do the selection again. And copy and paste, selection, copy, nope, too small, back up, copy and paste, one more time for this last guy, copy and paste. Now, it should have given me, I would have thought. So that one worked good. If I turn that off, that guy worked good. Did something there, I don't know what I did. Let's turn this one on. Oh, I wasn't very successful at that. I'm just going to delete this if I'm not very successful at something. So I'm going to go back to this section here so I can see what I'm doing or not doing. And I think I know what I did. Select. Go back. I'm still on this one. So I'm going to turn that off so I don't confuse myself. Come back here. And I'm just going to turn that off and on. There's my rectangle again. Now I will hopefully be selecting this guy. Copy and paste. Yep, he's there. I don't know what I did the last time. Probably because it's shifted. And I'll turn that off. And I'm going to select again. Do this one. Copy and paste. Go back to my original selection. And do my last little guy here. Okay. One, two, three. So I got that guy, I got the skinny guy, I got the gal. Oh, I didn't hit copy and paste. Sorry. Copy and paste. Yep, now they're all there. And now we can go in and start working on cleaning up and decorating some of these guys. Let me show you one more thing, because I do have one more cookie that I want to add to this little design. And what I have is, I don't have a template for the next particular cookie cutter. So I'm going to add a new layer. And this layer, we can turn off all the other things so that we're not seeing what else I've done. But now I'm in this new layer here. And I'm going to go to my, not the gallery. I'm going to go back into that little tool, and I want to insert another photo. But what I did, somewhere down in here, there it is, I have this cookie cutter that I don't have a template off the internet from this one. I actually know where I bought this from, and I could go get it, but I just want to use this as an example to show you, if you have a cookie cutter and you don't know where it came from, or it's one of the metal ones that you inherited from a garage sale or someplace, just take a picture of the cookie cutter. And then it's in its own little group there, and we're going to add another layer, and it'll be right over that one. And on this one, if you want to make it easier to see your line, because what I'm going to do is I'm just going to trace this cookie. You can hit on this N, and we can take the opacity of this down a little bit just to make it a little easier for me to see what I'm drawing. Then I'll come back up here into the layer 7, and I'll go back to my brush. And just usually to get started, I typically just kind of default to a black. And my favorite brushes, I like the monoline, and this is a calligraphy brush, and I like this technical pen up here, and that's an inking brush. And so if I went to calligraphy, there's that monoline right there, and if I went to inking, there's some fine tips, technical pens. There's all different kinds of stuff. The studio pen's real nice too. I like that one. This one's just like really skinny for when I don't want something too fat. But I think for this one, I'm just going to use this monoline. And you can see, you know, how it's going to react. And you can increase the thickness of it, or you can decrease the thickness of it. So it's all good. And your two fingers, you can, a 2-finger tap is a back up, back up, back up. It's not an erase, it just backs up a few steps. So I can tap it again, or down here on this left panel, down here, these little, this is the back arrow or the forward arrow. So I can bring things back, or I can take them away. And so now I've got my brush selected and I've got my color selected. And I'm just going to make this just a tad bit bigger than super skinny. And then I'm going to draw this cookie cutter. And the other nice thing about Procreate is if I try to draw this, I can be a little wiggly or not quite be, that was actually not a bad line. I would probably go with that. But just to show you too, like if you want smoother, cleaner lines, if you do your arc and then you hold it, Procreate will snap it. And sometimes it'll snap it really nice into that shape, and sometimes it won't. And then you can come up here and edit the shape, and you can make it fit just the way you wish it kind of did a little bit.
Christina says, this lesson is everything I've needed. Thank you. Just giving you some encouragement, honey.
Thanks. Because I don't see your comments and I don't hear anything. And I teach Accounting 102 with the Alaska University system. And it's so quiet out there on the Zoom classes, and you don't hear anybody talking. They're all on mute and they don't talk to me. It's so sad. But it is quiet. Thank you, honey. So anyways, I'm happy with that. I'm going to move on to the next thing, and I'm just going to tap somewhere to, whoops, and mess up my little arc thing. I'm just going to go undo. There it is. So that took care of my little mess up. Tap on my brush and come back. And I'm just going to snap that in. 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 Now that one kind of got a little big for me again, so now I want to edit that shape, and I just want to like tuck that in. This isn't so bad here. Those little dots just help you see. Now that made me feel better. So I'm happy with that, and I'll just keep going. Snappy snap. Snippity snappity. I want to edit that one again. Just kind of made me not like it so much. Not liking it. There we go. Liking it a little better. Perfect. Well, I don't know about perfect, but it's perfect. Okay. One of the other things. Okay, so that's good. There's my cookie cutter, and I can start to get to work on this one too. But a couple more things, and this is a good place. I want to turn this off so you can see my line drawing. If you notice right here, these lines are not touching. And when we go to do our designing, I have an owie on my thumb, and I thought I'd put a Band-Aid on it, and now the Band-Aid is more distracting than my owie. If we do a color, and I have this shape in here, and I want that whole area to be blue, I can drag and drop that. But if I drag and drop it, when the lines are not connected, it's just going to flood and fill the whole page. And that's not what I wanted. I just wanted that blue right there maybe. So you can see these lines are open, so that allows the color to flood the whole page. This line isn't open, so we need to connect these lines. And I'm going to go back to my black here, and I can repick black and get my brush. And I'm going to close up that line, and I'm going to close up this line. And when I did that line with the little arc, if you noticed, I stopped and I held it there, and it snapped it into place good. And I got a little sloppy here. Really, honestly, for cookies, that little slop probably isn't so bad, but I know a lot of us pay a little attention to detail and things bug us. So you can always just hit the eraser and make that go away. And if it's real small, you can blow it up bigger and kind of clean up a small space nicely. And then when you scoot back down, it just looks better. Anyways, now I can go back, pick my blue color, and do my fill. See, and it captures it right there. So all these little gaps, when you want to do a fill, they need to be closed up, or you're going to leak all over everything. So, whoops, undo. and 2 fingers pinching. I mean, some of the stuff that Procreate does, you guys already know because it's pretty standardized in the IT world. Here's another gap right here, another little gap right here. Yeah, that's good. Probably this one might cause me some problems. It looked like it was touching. And since I'm right here, I might as well just kind of nip a couple of these things in the bud, because it's that kind of stuff that you end up spending. And you know what? I need to stop this because this is the kind of stuff that just eats up your time. And we need to not waste your time today. So now I don't want to, if I go back, I can sit here and do back until I get rid of what I want, but then I just lost all the little fixes that I had. So that's probably what I'll do anyways. And I'm on the eraser, and we'll just kind of fix that up. Sorry. So now I'm ready for this one is ready for my whatever I decide I want to do with this. Except for this eraser, or this image right here, this cookie cutter I mean, is I believe it's a 5.5 inch cookie cutter, the one that I bought. Now remember, you can buy your cookie cutters in all different shapes. I mean, all different sizes, the same cutter. But I think I did this one like 5 inches. Remember my grid back here, these are 1 inch squares. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, and it's like 5.5 because I know they measure cookie cutters from here to here. So that is probably a 5.5 inch cookie. Anyways, I can hit this little selection tool and I can move this around. I can move this anywhere I want on a piece of paper. And I think I'm just going to like maybe move it down here, and I'm going to line it up to a grid because it just makes me feel happy to know that I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, this is like 6 inch, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 inch. I know it's not a 6 inch cookie. At best, it's like 5.5. So I can resize that to be like 5.5, or I can take it right down. Maybe it was just a 5 inch cookie cutter that I got. That's really ringing a bell. So I can make it. This also helps you to realize size and shape if you're getting too fine a detail. If I worked on this really big, I might put in extra things that would just be overwhelming on a 5 inch cookie. So I like using the grids because it gives me a bit of a reality check. And I'm going to leave it there. That's where I had it in my little sample thing, and I'm just going to leave it there. So let's turn on this guy. So here's this little guy, and he's going to take a little bit more work to clean up than this one, but it's all good. Now I've got him highlighted, and I'm going to come in here and I'm going to select this. I don't want the selection tool. I want, oh, I must not be on that one. I'm still on my old one. So let's go back up here to the little hatted guy. And see down here, I was on layer 7. And when I wanted to work on this guy, and when I hit my selection tool, it selected this one, which is that layer 7, because it's highlighted in blue. So I want to make sure that that what I want to work on is highlighted. So I'm just going to highlight that one. Then I can hit my brush and come back here. I can hit my selection, and there's my little gnome guy. And I've been trying to get like, let me turn that off for a second and make sure my canvas is the right size. Now I'm going to pick him again. And I want to move him up here. 1, 2, 3, 4. He needs to be a little bigger. He's a 5 inch cookie. For sure. So I kind of like that. Put him over there. And then you can turn that off. And so this is what I have to work with now. And it will be helpful to come over here, and we're going to get rid of some of this extraneous stuff here. So I'm going back into this selection tool, and I'm going to make this, put it back on automatic, and none of this stuff is really selected yet. And I want to, if I select this, it's selecting a lot of things, and I don't want it to select a lot of things. And if you just put your pencil down, you can see up here that this selection threshold changes when you do this. And I want it to be, this guy's kind of small and a little complicated, so I want the selection threshold to be smaller. And then it will not select quite as much. And I can tap, whoop, see, that's a big selection. This, I want to get, there's a lot of background noise right there. And so now I can do a 3-finger swipe, and I can say cut. And it cuts that out, and it left some little gaps, but it did get rid of a lot of background noise, and I can reconnect these dots, or I can put that back in, because it doesn't really bother me a whole lot. So, and there's more detail here, so I think I'm just going to go not get rid of quite all that background noise. But I'm going to keep trying some selection, because what I'm trying to get rid of here is, I'm going to turn that off and start over again. I want to, like, oh. Now that got a lot of stuff again. Well, I'm not being very successful at this one. Let's do this really quick. I'm going to do a little freehand here. And I'm going to get rid of a big chunk of that. Sorry. Usually I can grab don't forget, automatic. Like there we go. I can grab some of this background stuff and do the 3-hand swipe and say cut again, but it grabbed all of that, but it's not as bad as it was last time. And select. And let's do this and just kind of keep cutting some of this stuff out. This is a little bit of a complicated one. Let's get that out of there. 3-finger swipe and cut. Select. And another thing you can do too, if it's starting, I like to do that to get big clumps of stuff down, but you know, honestly, the eraser, and I give it a kind of a big eraser, and these erasers have brush size too. I like this round brush for my eraser, and we can increase that, and we can just erase that. Gone. Whoops, I went a little deep. So watch what I'm erasing, and I can get rid of a lot of this extra noise. When I'm getting close to the actual cookie that I care about, I can make that eraser a little bit smaller and just make some of this stuff go away. That's kind of bugging me. Let's make that a little bit bigger again. Take out big swaths of this stuff. Just get rid of, make that a little smaller. Get rid of that. Let's get rid of some of this noise in here. Make this bigger so it's easier to see. Make my eraser a little bit smaller again. And just get rid of some noise. Okay. So this cookie cutter is pretty much ready to go too.
You've got 20 minutes.
Oh, it's taking up a lot of time, but I want to show you I want to get through some of this, and I want to show you a couple of things. So we kind of cleaned him up, and I can go back and I can just reconnect some of these lines really quick. It just, I might want to make that a little smaller. And you can see how we can get this cleaned up a bit. This little guy is actually pretty busy because there's a lot of design factors in this one. But we can kind of clean him up. I want to go into this one because I want to show you, we'll turn her on. And we'll come back here. And I'm going to make her big. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's about her size. And so I'll move him. Let's move her over here. And I'm going to do some of the same thing here. And 3, cut, select. This is a little bit smaller, cut. And get my eraser, make it big. Oh, too big. Nice thing about mistakes are easily corrected in this little setup. And you know, this gal here, I don't even want her. I wanted her shape, which was really nice. And every time, if I don't lift up and I hit backwards, it's going to take back everything, not just the last little bit. So I'm going to go back there. So every once in a while, in case I continue to make mistakes, I'll lift my pencil just so that I don't end up, they're in little different blocks. So this is just a quick way to get the shape that I wanted because I wanted to do something different with this one. And I'm going to come back here to this select thing and see if I can't get rid of more of this background stuff out of here in a big chunk. Use my eraser again and just clean up some more of this loose stuff. That's what I mean. I lose the whole thing. Make my eraser a little bit smaller. Come in here.
Linda says, thank you. This is great info.
All right. So now I have her sitting there. And let's look at some of this stuff here. One thing I want to show you really quick because, well, like this little guy here, I'm going to go back to my, make sure I've got him selected, which is this guy, because I have it check marked here, and I can make sure that's who I'm working on. I can turn off this stuff and come back here. Okay, so he's all set. I'm just going to make sure that these lines are closed here. I'm not doing a really careful job because I just need to be time aware here. And there's a couple of things I really want to show you that are actually really, really helpful. So this is going to get a little sloppy, but I want to make sure my lines are closed up. All right. Oh, and you know, it knows shapes too, so if I want to redo that circle, I draw crappy circles, but if you just hold it, it snaps it. And this one, it wasn't quite a circle, and I want a circle. It did an ellipse, but I can turn it to a circle. So all of that is good. Eraser, get rid of this little goober. Oh. Okay. So one thing that I want to show you is if we pick a color, like I want his hat to be red and white, I'm going to pick, I want to get into the reds, and we're just going to say I like that red. And I can move that red tone lighter or darker, or the shade or whatever. And I'm going to pick that red. I like that red. I'm going to pick this selection tool again, and I'm going to do a color fill here, because then I don't have to, if I do the red and I have my pencil and I like my monoline, I can sit here and now I can color in these red lines, and you can see that I can do this, and it's just going to take a lot of time. So instead of that, I'm going to make this selection tool. I'm going to hit this color fill, and then I can tap the lines that I want to be red. So I'm going to pick all of these ones with the dots. Oops, I hit a line. See that? My lines are going. So I'm just going to don't do a double tap back and just kind of keep going. I'm going to tap all of that because the little dots are going to slow us down. So I'm going to do a color fill, but I'm just going to, oh, I don't have a closed line. So that flooded my whole thing. So let's go back. Somewhere here, I don't have my line closed. So now I can do that selection tool, color fill, except now I'm on black. So I'm going to turn that off, go back and pick my red that I liked and do the selection fill. Now I can tap these sections that I want red. Oh, that one has a leak. I'm going to go back one. We won't select that one. And you can see that I can fill these stripes up really quickly without having to color. So that's helpful. The other thing that this guy, I want him to have kind of a little... So the other thing that I've also just failed to tell you that I would do too is I filled in on this line drawing selection, and I shouldn't have. When I want to work on this guy, I should slide this over and do a duplicate so that I have him, and I can... So this is, from this selection, there's so much here I can tell you. I tap on him and I'm going to rename him. And I'm going to say long gnome, whoops, rename, long gnome line. Golly, I'm tapping. I want to keep my line drawings separate from my color. That's my moon line. And so now this one, I'm going to name it the long gnome color. This helps me keep my different layers. Instead of saying layer, 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 and you can't always see them real good, if I put moon line, I know that's my little gnome that's shooting you the moon. And this long gnome color, now I'm going to put my color in here, and I am going to make my lines, I like to make them a reference thing. And then my color, I want my color section, my husband's moving my iPad. I must have moved it on you guys. Sorry about that. I want to make my long gnome guy, the color part, underneath the lines. Because then as I'm coloring, if I bump the lines, it doesn't mess up my stuff. So I'm going to go back in this. So here I'm in my color. And now I can tap out to my brush. And I want him to have a little peachy kind of colored nose. And I kind of like this classic one, and because then I can like buff up a little something or make it lighter or darker here. I like, maybe let's try that for a little gnome. So now I could hit this select thing and select that nose, and with the color fill on, it'll just pop that in there. Another way to do it is, especially if you're just going to do like a one simple quick fill, is to grab that little dot and just drag it and drop it in there, and it will fill it. And then just to give you a quick example of, I know especially if you do a lot of airbrushing, and later when you're out working, maybe you'll remember, maybe you won't. Sometimes the little details escape us once in a while. But I know now that I also want that to have a little, whether I use an airbrush or if I just use some powdered food coloring, or I use some gel and some vodka, I want his nose to have a little blushing. So I'm going to change my pen to this soft brush, which is actually down here under airbrushing in the soft brush. I like that one. And I'm going to take this same peachy color, and I can up the pink in it, and I can maybe make it a little lighter. And then I kind of don't like that one, so I'm going to really make it pink. And I can control the size of my line over here. And it's kind of a small nose, so I don't need it to be very big. But I'm just going to come in here now, and I'm going to put a little, somehow I'm hitting something out here, so maybe I'll change the edge of my pen. That's a kind of big. I'm going to bring it in a little bit smaller. There we go. And I can airbrush my little pink nose in there. And if I wanted to, then I could also just add a quick drop of white to the middle here. And I can even use this little thing, the smudger, and I can kind of smudge that out and kind of smudge that line a little bit. Again, this is the little stuff that kind of eats up your time, but it's a good reminder of what you wanted that nose to be later when you start to do all of that. The other thing I want to show you, by keeping your lines separate, if I wanted to, I can duplicate this one again, because maybe I can duplicate this one again, and I would rename that, I did it. I'm going to abbreviate Long Gnome Color 2. and go back out of there, because maybe what I want to do is I'm going to select, whoops, I'm not going to select, that I wasn't sure if I wanted a red and white hat or maybe a green and white hat. And if I do whoops, I hit a line. I don't want a line. I want to refill these. Sometimes if your spaces are kind of skinny and too tight, just blow it up a little bit bigger. And quickly you can come back in, and at any rate, you can see that now I can work with my stuff, and I can say, do I want a red hat or do I want the green hat? Let's move this over here so you can see it. Red hat, green hat, red hat, green hat. Oh, I like the red hat. But it's easy for you to recreate the same cookie cutter over and over and over again and change the designs just a little bit. Now, one other thing I want to make sure that I touch on with this guy, I also wanted to have, I want his beard. Let's make sure I'm on the right layer. I want to be on my gnome color here. I keep moving it, sorry folks. I'm back into my long gnome color, and I want his beard to be white. I knew that, so I'm just gonna come back and grab my white here, and I'm gonna drop that in there. Well, I must have some other noise in there, so I'm gonna take my little eraser and kind of erase a few things in here. Oh, I kicked the stand with my foot. I felt that. Sorry, folks.
You need to go closer, I think.
So I'm just going to fill his beard up white. I'm going to go to my round brush. I don't know what that is. Oh, there we go. My line, it was my line. So I'm just gonna fill that up. It's not quite whitey white. If you have white on white, it's hard to see. And you can come back into your layers and go back to this background color here. And I can change my background color to be something that's not white, so that it's a little bit easier to see what I'm working on. Make it maybe not quite so dark. And so now I can kind of, it helps me see some of the things when I start working white on white. But now I want that beard to have some texture. And so what I need to do is come back into these layers, and I am going to make a copy of this. And I'm going to turn that one off. And I know what I did. I'm going to back up a little bit. We're going to have this one on. Shoot. And I'm going to do a selection, and I'm going to tap his beard. It's not a color fill. Make sure I'm in the right gnome line. I want to be in the gnome line. I want to do a selection, and I want his, my color fill is off because I want this beard. I want this whole beard thing here, and I want to copy and paste it. And there's my beard. And I am going to work on this one for a second. So I'm in here, and I'm going to do a selection here and select that, and I'm going to make that go away. I'm going to cut that out of there. Oops, I didn't mean to say copy. Okay. Oh my gosh, sorry. Three fingers, cut. Selection. Three fingers, cut. Okay. And I want to make these, make sure, okay, white. I want him to have squigglies here because I want to put these on his beard. And then I take this and I do a duplicate. And I'm going to leave the top one white, but I'm going to turn this last one, I'm going to do an alpha lock, and it picks all that writing. It's like letters. They're just shapes, but they're kind of like letters. And I lock the alpha lock. And then I'm going to change this to black. And I'm going to come back in here. And I'm going to say fill the layer. And it fills. It didn't look like it filled it black because this selection is on top. This layer is on top of that layer. So if I turn it off, there's that layer and it's black. And now what I want to do is I can turn this one on and it blocks it. And if it's white on white, it's still going to be hard to see, but I'm on this black section here. I'm going to come up here to this Gaussian blur, and you just put your pencil down again. You can see over here it says Gaussian blur is at 0%, but if I slide it, it's going to come out and get darker and darker, and if you look around the white, it's getting more and more dark around that white, and kind of blurring it out. And then you're going to be able to see that. And if I do this and I hit duplicate again, it gets a little darker. And I'm going to delete this one. And I'm going to unlock that. And there it goes. See, you can see I can do all of that. But now I can see it. And I'm sorry, it's 11 o'clock. I've barely begun to touch on this stuff. It takes so long. But now I can see that. And now I'm going to just merge this down into that one, because that will remind me that that's what I want that beard to look like. And I'm going to keep going for just a little bit longer, because I also want to show you, it's the same kind of thing. Let's turn on some of these other guys. I don't need my color, and those are my long gnomes. Let's see. That's my moon one. Actually, let's that one's on. I just haven't cleaned them all up yet. What I'm going to do to speed this up a little bit is go back to the sample that I was kind of working on, because I've showed you how I do get each of my little individual characters out. I've shown you how to do some quick filling. And then I showed you this guy right here. You can see how I did that little air brushing thing on his nose. And this is that Gaussian blur thing so that I can see the white on white details. Here's my writing. I did the same thing. And if you want to get your writing in there with this stuff, all you have to do is come up to here and say add text. And then that gives you your text box, which you can move around and put wherever you want. And we can make it bigger. And this comes up, so if I don't want that text or it's too small, I can just tap on that and I can increase the size of that font. And I can make it into outline. And then like, maybe I should be able to increase the size of that. And there's that. If I double tap it, it gives me the ability to edit it again. And I want to outline that and then say done. So it just, every text that you get in this one only has one regular style. There's not much. Some of these things have multiple, like italic or bold, and that's a nice one. I mean, you can change your text and see what you want and get those in there. And you can also change the colors of your text, but you got to have it selected. And I can say, oh, I want it to be red, not black. You can do whatever you want. So that helps, and you can just put it and do whatever you want with that. I wanted to show you that. And as you build these things, this texture one, like let's say I wanted to fill in the bottom of this one. So I'm going to come and find my little guy here. And I have a lot turned on, so we'll turn off this stuff so I can see where he's at. There he is. That's that guy. See, there's my hat with a little airbrushing. And there he is without airbrushing. And these are just things so that when I go to make my cookie, I can remember what my plan was. And this little fat guy, I knew I wanted to texture his beard up. So I textured his beard. And if I do this, I'm on. Make sure I'm on that layer. So if I want to do the same thing to that, I can just do that easily by, I'm going to select a white. I'm going to make it a little bit darker so that I have a darker gray. I threw that in there. Then I went into my brushes and I just found a texture that I liked. And there's all kinds, there's like organic and there's industrial. There's all kinds of textures in here and things that will represent to you what it is that you want to do. And you just kind of got to choose something. And then you can go in there and let's change that to a lighter color so we can see it happen. And you can just rub that in there. What I would do though, is I would take this same, I would do a selection and make sure my color fill is off, and I would tap that section and do a copy and paste. And then there's my shape that I just copied, and I want to be in that one. And then I can come in here with that texture, and I can just have a time of it. And it's like that maybe is too big, so I don't want to do that. I'll make this brush a little smaller and do this. Oh, that's too small. That's not going to help my vision, but I'll make it a little bigger. Yay! And if I like that one and I'm happy with that one, then I'll just merge this back down. Oh, sorry, before I do that, I'm gonna, you come in here, sorry, and you do a clipping mask, and then it clips it to fit that mask. And then I would, well, let me undo that. Let me move this down to here where it should be right above the layer I want it to be at. Clipping mask. And then I'm going to just merge that into that one. Or so I thought I would. You can pinch them together. And it should have I should be able to highlight this one, let it float, and bring it into here. All right. Or you can pinch them together. There. I feel like I was not, so, but I can pinch them in there, and it should have blocked that. Anyways, you can see how I get the texture in there so that I have a reference for that. And I'm just keep going back and back and back because I was playing with that one. And what I wanted to show you is that I just inserted, this was a design that I had done for my original cookie, and I cleared out that original cookie cutter because I didn't want to do the girl, and I actually just hand drew this image in for this guy up here in this space, and that's what I ended up designing for the other cookie. The other thing you can do, especially if you're going to be sending this out to a client, is, to show them what you've come up with in your design, is this is the color palette in here. And the color palette for this one, because I was kind of picking my own colors, they're always there. So, and I do put it there for quick reference so that I don't have to go hunting for it. It's just here. Like if I wanted this shirt down here to be this same dark green, all I have to do is touch it and it automatically changes the color. And I can use that then. I must have I'm not in that layer. I have to be in that layer. And I can color in there with that layer. It picks it up. I should just go back to my monoline. And sometimes I get lots of layers turned on. I'll turn my background back on. And I should be able to just fill that. Okay, let's see. Oh, I'm in the wrong layer again. I must be. Yep. Yay, see, I can do this. It's easy. I can just switch between my color palette really quick, and I don't have to go hunt for those colors. But what I wanted to show you is if you're doing, if somebody sent you, and I thought I had it here, if somebody sent you a baby shower invitation, and they asked you to follow that color palette, the color scheme. I thought I took a picture here of a baby shower invitation not too long ago. No, I did right here. So if you got an invitation, they said, these are the colors that I want. Just to kind of get yourself started, we'll make that a little bit bigger. I'm going to add a new layer to this one. And now I'm in this layer and it's empty, but I can come in here and I can put my finger on that balloon and there's that green. And so now I'm just going to like make my brush a little bit bigger, even maybe bigger, because what I just want to do is capture that color. Now I want to capture this blue color. And you can see as I rock my finger around that you can't see it, but there's a little plus sign right in the middle of that circle. And wherever I put that plus sign, that's the color it's going to pick up. There's the outline color, there's the inside color. I'm just going to pick up that one. And there's that. Here's the brown. Let's capture that nice browny brown. And the gray off the little raccoon. So see, I can capture my color palette really quick. And then these colors are readily available to me as I'm drawing, and I don't have to keep going back here and hunting and pecking for what color it was, and I can be real consistent with that color. So hopefully, it's 1/4 after. And hopefully that helps you. Gosh, there's just so much here that I wish I had time to show you.
He says do a class every week.
We could do a class every week. There's just so much here, and there's so much exploring. But I wanted to show you how to capture that palette really quick. And then you could import your cookie cutters, because maybe you're not going to hand cut each one of these. But now you've got the colors. You can go find your woodland animals, and you can pull it together and be pretty darn accurate. I'm going to go back into this. Let's see, where did my little gnomey thing here? So as I started to work and I picked my colors, like you can't really see some of this, but some of the other things that I wanted you to know, because if I picked, like I really like this green, and I was wondering about this red, and I was thinking maybe this red would be better. But you can pick on this color. Let's select this color, and if you're just struggling with what color to use, that's a good red with that. If you come down here on the bottom of this toolbar, there's a harmony, and there's my green that I picked, and it's telling me that this color right here is a good harmony color for this green. So if I pick that one, and now I draw a little thing by it. See, that's how I came up with that one. And those two colors they blend nicely together. So if you're trying to create your color palette, there is a little bit of help with that down in there under this harmony screen. And you can choose any color, and it gives you a good harmony to go with that color. And that could help you with some of that. And then of course, one of the last things you can do is you can merge all of these together so that you just have one thing. Oh, that's the other thing I didn't show you, how to warp all your words. That's really fun. I'm going to turn this one on, because that's like if I do this select tool, somehow I got a plop of purple in there. Did I just do that? Well, if I do the select and I select my, oh, I already flattened it. Anyway, sorry. So there's your palette. And if I wanted to now, I can just take my monolith pen and I can let the client know, oh, that's really fat. Bring my pencil down here. I can let my client know that this is a 5-inch cookie. And that, you know, it's like maybe this one is going to be $6 a cookie because it's all hand special designed or something. I don't know. I could let her know that this is a lot of detail work, so that's also going to be $6 a cookie. Or, you know, I mean, you can just put notes on here. You can put the due date. You can put all your little things that you want to write on here for the customer. Gee, I'm going to let you go. I know I've held you guys over so long, but there's just so much here and I get stuck in it. And a lot of attention to detail, and I apologize. This has been the Cooper Landing Cookie Lady, and I hope you got something out of this. Okay, thanks.